Nice shirt.
Thank you.
Ha! All right.
Hey, welcome to the Garage Cast.
This is, which episode are we on now?
This is episode number 7.
Number 7.
Number 7.
Lucky 7 for us because we have Punky with us, who owns, operates, and I'm trying to think of another adjective, but
Commands.
Command is one of them.
Hidden Gem Videogames in Fountain Valley, California. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Punky. Do you hear the audience?
I do. I hear him. It's very loud.
Very loud.
Thanks for having
Deafening.
me, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on the show.
We have a lot to talk about with you. We're going to talk a lot about your store. We're going to talk a lot about video games, and we're going to play a couple of games as well. I just went to Game On Expo in Arizona.
Yep.
And I have some pickups from that and other things to show off and do some other fun things. But we're just excited that you're here.
No, thank you for having me. I've been trying to get on forever. Thank you for putting me on.
Punky actually said, you were going to do a podcast at your store.
Yes.
And then I had already had plans with Josh to do this one, so I'm glad that the Voltron, the forces have combined to be one giant
Robot cat.
Yeah, robot.
First news, we started the very first news story we ever did on this podcast.
Yes.
Was about Shredder coming to
Call of Duty. That's right.
And so in continuing with that, let's talk about Shredder again and his revenge.
Oh, have you
Shredder's
played the game?
Revenge?
I have not, no.
You've not played the game?
I've been meaning to.
Wow.
The new DLC is coming out at the end of this month.
Okay.
We have a date, and they announced... They had already previously announced we're getting a new character with Usagi Yojimbo.
Okay.
Which is really awesome. Now they have a new character that is also coming out with it.
Okay.
And it's some ninja girl who I'm thinking is from some part of the Ninja Turtle universe that I don't know. Her name's Karai.
Karai, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I'm familiar with Karai.
Oh, what is she from? The cartoons?
She's part of the cartoons.
Okay.
And she's actually the final boss in Tournament Fighters. For Super Nintendo version.
Yeah.
She's the one that jumps up and hits rapidly with her arm.
Okay, well, guess what? You'll get to play as her. Now, Shredder's Revenge was great. It's fantastic. And this looks like it's going to be a really good DLC for people like me who have kind of already played it, and there's tons of new stuff to now do. It looks like they may even have some from the trailer I got the impression it might be some rogue elements to it, where you play it again and you get different power-ups and stuff like that. So
that's cool.
Sweet.
Pretty exciting. Looking
Hades
well for you
meets
to that.
Shredder's Revenge.
Could I interrupt you? That first character you mentioned, Unagi.
Yes.
Uyagi.
Uyagi?
So, funny story.
Is it not Usagi?
I think it's Usagi. I butchered it earlier today because I sold a TMNT figure and it was actually him.
Well, because I believe
he's the bunny, right?
Yes. So
the samurai bunny.
I believe Usagi is the Japanese word for rabbit. And so then Yojimbo is, I don't know, the Japanese word for Yojimbo, I guess. I don't know.
Sense.
I think that's his name. So I think he's something rabbit. He is not actually a Ninja Turtles character. He is actually a character from some other media, but he was so closely tied to the Ninja Turtles because they introduced him in a lot of ways. He came into some stuff that I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I believe the creator has said, listen, anytime you guys want to use him in Ninja Turtle stuff, it's fine with me because so many people already just associate that it's cool.
I did hear about that.
He's a he's a very cool character. He's, a samurai rabbit. How much cooler can you get?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Are we excited about Starfield?
I had a few customers asking about Starfield, so they seem excited.
I mean, it's the new Bethesda game. It should elicit some amount of hey.
Yeah. It looks cool.
Yeah,
it looks cool.
Sure.
It looks awesome.
Well, it's gone gold.
Okay.
Now, this game's been delayed a bunch of times. So the gone gold in this case is a little bit more weight than most of the time when it's just hey, this game's coming out. They said it would come out. Who cares? Gone gold's such a weird thing now. But
because it used to be, it's done. You can't.
And it used to mean we're pressing the discs
onto a gold disc.
Yeah.
Right.
It means less now because they'll push out a digital version that's more up to date the night before, anyways. Yeah. But in this case, it's gone gold. It is coming out on its date. It's not going to get delayed at the final part. Preloads are going to start very soon, and the size is 130 gigabytes.
Oh my gosh, that's huge.
So
Final Fantasy 16 was about 100 gigs.
Yes,
I believe, right? So this is even larger than that.
we're well into the like
Yikes.
these big games are gonna be 100 gigs or more.
This is the
so
problem
clear
that
your space.
the modern consoles have to resolve is if you want us to go all digital, you got to give us the space.
You gotta give us the
And
space.
not only just the space, then just the time and the Wi-Fi and the speed of the connection to
Yes.
download these huge
Yeah.
games. I mean, now I'm thinking about it. There's the Xbox Series S, right?
Yes.
That's the digital version.
Yep.
That comes stock with 512 gigs.
Yep.
It wouldn't even be enough to carry that game.
No,
And
you're out very quickly.
You got like 50 that go
Well,
to
that
iOS as
version
well.
might actually be smaller because they don't have to have all of the higher resolution texture. So maybe it is
Bells and
smaller on
whistles.
S. I don't know.
Yeah.
They don't let you choose, so they're just going to search, like on Xbox, whatever you download will be the appropriate one for you, but
Interesting.
it's still rough. And do you sell the hard drives, the expansion modules?
I do not know, but I've gotten a couple of used ones in the store.
Yeah.
Not a lot of requests. for
Well,
them.
and for the Xbox one, it's proprietary, so they're really expensive.
Right.
And for the PlayStation ones, because you can just buy any SSD you find, but it's not on PlayStation, so don't go looking for it there. But it is coming out, it sounds like.
Could we go back to that term, go gold?
Yeah.
I've never even heard that before. I'm assuming it's pressed on.
Yes,
physical media.
so the Gold Master in the old days, and they would do this with records
PS1,
too.
PS2,
Yeah.
but
Right,
like I don't know about records, but I assume so. Why not?
It was, at some
it's a
point.
master copy.
master.
Yeah, this is the one we're going to make all the duplicates.
Gotcha.
Right? And so when they would say it's gone gold, it's really just more a term for we have the thing we're going to make the mass duplication of, which back in the day meant this needs to be done because you can't change it, right? So it was when it would gone gold meant that they were kind of finally finished.
Pencils
and
up,
we knew,
test is over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It still gets used around to this day, even though again they don't. The majority of sales now are being done digitally, and they can just they can push one of those out a week before.
Yep.
Doesn't cost them anything. Pokemon World Championships. Have you guys ever watched any World Championship Pokemon?
No, I have not.
Did you know that this was a thing? Not the card game.
We're not talking about TCG.
We're not talking about TCG because to me that makes total sense. This is the game.
If you're into this, I love you. Trust me, but it's yeah. Keep going.
So there was a big scandal because they recently had a big qualifier or a big World Championship tournament, and they had to actually disqualify a bunch of players because they were using hacked Pokemon.
Oh my god! Wait, so what's in the championship? What are they competing for?
Yeah, if
What are
it's
they
not
playing?
cards,
if it's not TCGs, video games.
They're playing the game version, and they're playing against each other. So you're fighting other players.
So the Pikachu. That
you
I
make your own
leveled up,
team. Yes.
We go at it.
Yes.
Heads
So
up.
this is what's unique about this type of Pokemon. It's wild. You have to bring your own Pokemon, and you are expected to have your full team leveled all appropriate. Now, none of the Pokemon that they banned for being hacked were like, I was thinking like, oh man, the guy shows up with Pikachu and he has an assault rifle. I know that I think he's hacked. It's not that. It's that it's legitimately a version of Pikachu that you could grind for and get. You just would have to spend the time for it. Well, they just didn't want to spend the time doing it.
Oh man.
It's not a question of like, can you get a Pikachu this strong? You can. What's crazy about this is that this type of tournament expects its players, its competitors, to literally spend thousands of hours building the proper team. And these guys are saying, we don't have the time to do that. Can you imagine in Street Fighter if you're like, well, you better grind up your Ryu so that he's good, or your Guile or whatever.
Yeah.
No. They just show up and they play with the same character they played. This is a unique thing that Pokemon has. But they did ban a bunch of people. They said like, hey, you're playing with too many Pikachus.
I want to know how they cheated. Is that has that leaked?
Well, so they apparently, this has been going on forever, and it's just sort of been looked over. Like, they didn't say anything. Everybody knew. Most of the people would admit it if they were asked. This is the first time they've really cracked down in this way, and people are saying, hey, We played the game and we got,
Who knew that the underground world of Pokemon was so violent?
I just want to read to you the tweet from like one of the guys that got DQ'd. He said, and just so this is so great for the I love the terminology that's used here. Brady Smith, he tweeted out, DQ'd at 2-0. Should have gotten my Mons myself. Half my team was modified Gend. I didn't have a Legends of Arceus to get the Lando. And I didn't have a copy of Sword and Shield to get Urshifu. Yeah. I tried trading for the Mons with a reputable trader, but the Mons didn't pass.
Oh my gosh. They have their reasons.
I mean,
it makes sense to me.
This is like talking to somebody who's like, did you hear the new, fill in the blank genre of, music? And they're like, well, yeah, and they start getting granular with it, and you're like, what are you talking about?
Or talk to anyone about an MMO.
It means so much to that person, but to someone who has no idea, it's like,
that's me. Okay. I have no idea what you just... Whatever that
were you a Pokemon guy growing up?
Dude, I only played Pokemon Red. Or it might have been Blue. One or the other.
One of the first ones.
I beat it, but that was back in 1996.
And that didn't get as wild as what Pokemon is now.
So whatever that guy just kind of vented about
I don't know either,
out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
Gnarly
indeed.
It is crazy, yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Call of Duty. Should be a big seller in the store, right?
Yes.
Call of Duty's always been the kids
I
out.
wonder that because I know in like a Best Buy or a Walmart, Target, that your Call of Duties and Maddens are going to sell like crazy. But in like a mom and pop shop, I wonder how much of the newer releases sell, but also how many people come back for the older ones as well.
Well, for Call of Duty, the older one's actually pretty popular right now, especially the Xbox.
Well, because they just kind of fixed them,
They fixed it.
You can play them again.
Activision got acquired by, was it Microsoft?
Well... Yeah, it's happening. But
it's happening. So all the servers are back up. Even the 360 servers are.
Right.
They're all up. So everyone's been calling for the old stuff.
No way.
They've been buying it all out. And not only that,
has the prices gone way up?
It kind of has, but it's just market price.
There's a lot of ways to still get them too. Aren't they still available digitally?
I believe so.
Some of them, yeah. So,
wow.
But hardware has gone up, controllers and everything, and I'm like, what's going on? Servers are back up.
So this year's Call of Duty is very weird because it wasn't announced up until just a little while ago, but there had been a bunch of leaks that were basically saying that Sledgehammer was going to be putting out a DLC expansion for Modern Warfare 2, which was the last one. So they were actually going to be saying like, hey, we're not going to put out a full game. We're just going to keep building on this one. It's kind of like what they're doing anyways because they keep putting out Warzone and stuff. And then at some point during an investor call, Activision said, we're putting out Modern Warfare 3.
That's wild. And
that they just announced it, and people started speculating. Wait, did you guys just take your expansion, turn it into a full-fledged, put a 3 on it? Is that it? It does seem like that's what's happened. Now, how much more they put into it, who knows? But Activision come out and said, no, this isn't an expansion. This is a full-price game, also $70.
Yikes.
So people are appropriately either mad because they're always mad at Call of Duty, or don't care and just play whatever, like don't even know that this is happening and we'll just play whatever Call of Duty comes out.
I've loved Call of Duty on the 360 days, especially when Modern Warfare came out.
Man.
That changed the whole thing. Yeah. And then after Modern Warfare 2, I kind of dropped off. I never got into Black Ops.
Yep.
Same.
And then I kind of would dip in my on a used release a little after a while. I like the campaigns. I like team deathmatch multiplayer. I need to play Warzone, or maybe not because that might take up my entire life. Because that's what I hear for people who get into Warzone.
Yeah. I don't know. You might not like it too. Okay. Because it's pretty different.
Well, but here's the thing: these newer Call of Duties, outside of Vanguard, I have really enjoyed.
Oh, okay.
The Modern Warfare 1, the Modern Warfare 2.
But like Warzone's not as fast paced as like because you're not responding. Like you get out there and you fight. You die once, you can come back once, but it's not the same as like deathmatch. I think the deathmatch in Call of Duty. I mean, I loved Modern Warfare. Yeah. It was very fast. All of that, to me, Call of Duty was trash garbage after I played Titanfall 2 because nothing could ever compare. So I said, like, why would I ever even play these games when Titanfall 2 is the most incredible game ever?
Well, I'm surprised that they announced part 3. Literally, not even has it been a year? I remember ordering Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah, Modern Warfare 2 was the game that came out last fall.
Yeah, last fall. Not even well, once it comes out, it's
roughly.
Yeah. But I'm shocked that it's not just going to be updates, and adding to it.
Well, that would be the first time that they actually missed a mainline and went with an update. So they've actually gone back to the way they've always done it, which is, a lot of people have always said, like, hey, you should take some breaks. And, like, especially with the way Modern Warfare or Call of Duty used to be made by, like, 2 developers and then started being made by 3 developers, and they would all make a slightly different game. So every year, if you played one of their versions, man, I really liked Infinite Warfare. There was a lot of cool things in there. Right. Guess what? The next one doesn't have any of that stuff because the other developer doesn't like the dolphin dive or the wall running or whatever. So then you'd get used to that one, and then the next one would be like, well, we went back to World War II, so you don't get any of your laser rifles. And it's a little like, if you're just like, hey, I just play it whatever it is. And then, like, after that one, it's like, we're going back into space.
That's crazy.
We're gonna give you drones again. Like, it's very weird. It's hard to keep up.
Well, there's no advantage then, right? Because they're always constantly switching up. It sounds like so the Warzone style, right?
Yeah,
they're switching. They're taking up features.
I think you
features.
could make that argument that like, if you like one of them a lot, you don't get to see it again.
Well, it really is though Madden for non-sports gamers.
Yeah,
like, that's what Call of Duty is. It's a yearly release
with more changes, really.
Well, truly. I think like
updates.
Yeah, and I think like there's plenty of great shooters out there, but it is fun every once in a while playing stuff that's different tiered style games to go back and go, what does a AAA big budget game feel like? And to dive into a Call of Duty and go, oh, that's what it feels like. Just the same way that I might enjoy like a blockbuster summer movie, but if that's all that I watched, I would get bored pretty fast.
Yeah. So. Did you gentlemen play the campaign versions of these games? Because I heard it's pretty fun.
Oh, I love the campaign.
I know it's pretty short, but
I generally would always play the campaign
first and then multiplayer. Yeah, that's a 15-year-old habit for me that I don't see changing anytime soon. So, which is crazy.
So I had one more thing that I want to talk to you guys about.
Okay.
Punky, are you into Baldur's Gate?
No.
Are you into PC games?
I've heard of the third one that just recently dropped, Baldur's Gate 3, right?
Yeah.
So there was Baldur's Gate 1, and then there's Dark Alliance, right? The sequel, and then the third one now, just on PC. No, I've never played. My friends did. Okay.
So it's PC right now only. It will come out on PlayStation in like a month or so. They pushed it back a little bit. So Baldur's Gate 3 is blowing up all kinds of records, right? It is.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's sold incredibly well. It is very popular. It's, like on OpenCritic, it's their highest rated game of all time. Jeez. On Metacritic, it's like in the tops. It beat out like Mario Odyssey and some other things. They were number 9, maybe even 8 by now of highest concurrent players on Steam. So they had almost 1 million people playing all at once. Dang. This isn't like owners, this isn't a maximum amount of people that have ever played it. This is like almost 1 million people playing this game at that moment. And so there's only a few games that even get to that point where there's that many people playing.
They just released, right?
Let me tell you a little bit about it. So Baldur's Gate 3 is a very traditional computer RPG in the style of these old Baldur's Gate games.
Right.
It is also built off the Dungeons and Dragons license. And it is very, it is truly an achievement of a game. There's so much freedom in this game of things you can do. They really did break it open. It's got a really engaging story. Every single character in the game has a voice line. Like all dialogue is voiced, even the most minor characters. Yeah. It is just really, really, really...
So the NPCs even
it's a real achievement. Wow. And a lot of people are going, this is fantastic. It's something we've always dreamed of. The Studio Larian, this is the type of game they've made, so it's just like a natural extension. There are some people that are mad about it, and it's largely coming from developers who are mad that players are going to think that every game should be this big.
They're setting the bar, the expectations.
They are upset that the bar has been set too high. Now, this is not just... This same thing happened when Elden Ring came out. When Elden Ring came out, there's a bunch of... there was even more like big-time developers that were complaining because Elden Ring was so popular. And yet, there was an Ubisoft like open world designer or UI designer who was like, I hate that this is so popular because it flew in the face of a lot of things they did. Well,
so he had to stop making the same template for
he was like, there's no towers.
Far Cry. Yeah.
How do I find out where I'm supposed to go?
Yeah, this is bizarre.
So this is a little bit different. It is there was like a very popular thread, and I don't even want to get into the people that really did it. It's just more that the sentiment was developers were saying you shouldn't expect everyone to make a game like this.
Right.
Yeah. And so then there's a lot of backlash on YouTube from gamers and content creators that are saying devs are so lazy and they're so worried because this is finally a good game that came out, and they're mad about it. And IGN put out a video where they were really saying, like, basically criticizing that criticism, saying like everybody should expect better. And I kind of want to get your guys' take on just the idea of the rising tide. Do we feel that like sometimes developers do have unfair expectations on them? Where do you feel on this?
I have immediate thoughts about this. Number one, I can't fathom the complexity of developing a video game.
Right.
Because you have to have cinematic chops in order to like direct actors.
Especially if you're making a very cinematic game, you gotta be basically a movie director.
But even if it's a minor cinematic game, even Legend of Zelda has voice acting. Like you have to think of how lines are delivered. Do they represent the character, which has to be written by a team of writers, which then they have to live and they need to be in a world that's immersive. Not to mention, I think like the technology that goes behind it, and then at the end of all of these, it's like, I mean, now you're hiring orchestras to do your soundtrack, which has to be written by someone or a team of people, and then conducted by someone, and then
famous voice actors.
Like there's so much that goes into making a video game. So the idea of seeing something so monumentally, profoundly good, and the reaction being discouragement.
Yeah.
It says something about the achievement, but two, it also like I can empathize with that person who's like, this is really hard.
And that everyone's going to expect me to do this.
I mean, like I always have to parallel it to music and other things, but like when OK Computer came out by Radiohead, and it was like, where do we go from here? You can still go back to that album and get like all the feels from that album.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it happens in movies. When Bob Saget directed Dirty Work,
I mean,
everybody watching was like, "This is the greatest film." We can't make
Norm Macdonald.
We cannot make comedies anymore because Dirty Work is the funniest movie ever. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. Well, but then Arrested Development came along and went up to that on the humor and the writing.
How dare you?
I shan't recant, but. Hashtag I shan't recant. But all that being said, I also as a player see that, and it might make me devalue games, but I'm also a retro player.
Yeah.
And I love going back to older games that have more of a simplicity or more of a single line of innovation rather than a multiple scaled line of innovation. And at the end of the day, developers, they don't have to make the biggest game. They have to make the most fun game.
Correct.
And ultimately, whatever the formula is to create an engaging and fun experience ought to be the aim, not shoot, we need to make our map, twice the size of the continent of the map in this game, and now we need more. Like, for me, I get those games and I get almost a panic attack because I'm like, I don't know where to go. Right. I still start to play The Witcher and I'm like, I don't know what to do now. And even haven't played Oblivion. Because of just going, okay, I started to play Fallout on the 360 and 3, I think it was.
Same thing, right?
Same thing. Like, I was like, I'm having fun, I think, but I also feel like I'm missing out on everything.
Right, yeah.
So
it's going to happen again with Starfield.
But
now you have a whole universe.
But all that being said, the challenges to innovate are significant just as the challenges are to keep it fun.
Yeah, right.
And if I'm having fun while being lost in your world, then great. And the ways that developers understand the psychology of the player, the psychology of video games, all of that stuff, it's cool. As far as complaining about innovation, like, how many times have I sat through an E3 speech about we're innovating and so when someone's actually doing it and you go, you can't innovate that much.
Don't make us look bad.
It's easy to be cynical about that, and if you're a developer watching this, my heart goes out to you. But you know, when I would play sports and I would play against players that were better, or when I would play in bands with musicians that were far superior to my chops, it made me better, and I hope that it makes you better too. Well, rather than like, slow it down, guys. We need more radio towers to hack to open up more parts of the world map, you know? So that's my take.
I agree with you 1000%. But you know what? I'm all about this. I'm all about putting out a product that's 150%. You know, I'm all about inspiration and pushing the envelope. And, you know, it doesn't have to be competition, but, you know, do your best, work on it hard, and then inspire.
Yeah.
Right? Creativity, fun games, very important too. But if you're going to build a massive game, that's awesome as well. A lot of my customers love those 100, 200 hour video games, right? Yeah. Where they could just spend hours doing nothing in this massive world, right? But it's just mind boggling to see what they could put into these freaking video games, right? Excuse my language. But I don't play these AAA.
You can say freaking.
I can say freaking. Don't edit that one out.
Cops aren't coming.
But, you know, Elden Ring, I haven't played that. I haven't even played Final Fantasy. But I think one comparison for me is the God of War Ragnarok, right?
Yeah.
Because that series used to be just a hack and slack, finish it within 8 to 10 hours, button mashing, and that's it. But I played God of War 2018 before Ragnarok came out, and I was getting through it. Gosh, I put 12 hours in it, and I was like 10% complete.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, the old God of War game, I should be done. I should be done by now.
But God of War, did you play Ragnarok?
So I didn't, because I couldn't get through it. 2018, I'm still stuck in there.
So it's funny. I when the game hooks me, I will play it all the way to the end. And God of War 2018 was like, I have to see where this whole thing goes. I didn't understand all the story all the time because I'm dense, but the experience is so engaging. And actually, the first time I played it, I turned it off after a little bit because I was like, it's too hard. I don't really get it. Right. And then I turned it back on, and I was like, oh, I was in for the whole ride.
You got you hooked. Hey, look, God of War, those God of War games, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, Elden Ring, this stuff gets repeated over and over again because these games come out where the developers put out a game that they worked on for a very long time.
Yeah, right.
And Tears of the Kingdom is one of those games where you kind of are shocked by how well all the systems work together.
Yeah.
This Baldur's Gate 3 is a game like that where you go, I wonder if I could do this. Like, can I take in Baldur's Gate, just as an example, you have inventory and you can take explosives and you can put them in put them inside a bag that you then hold in your bag. So it lets you like hold more stuff, right? So you can have bags in your bag and you can put stuff in those. But you can also take any item out and you can throw it. You can throw it on the ground. It's like a real thing, just like Zelda.
Yeah. Okay.
However, if you take a bag that you stuffed full of explosives and throw it off a cliff on an enemy, all of the explosives will blow up and will nuke that enemy no matter how strong they are. It will destroy them. It breaks your frame rate on your computer. So those kinds of things where Zelda was really good at this, where it goes, I wonder if I could, and then you try it and you realize, like, somebody anticipated that, or they just made a system.
Right.
So I want to lay it down because I have played Baldur's Gate, and in fact, Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
I played quite a bit of it.
Nice.
And there's a reason why I played quite a bit of it. The big thing that is really coming out from gamers is like, this is a game with no microtransactions and is completely polished, and this is what we're saying everybody should be, being held to that standard.
Right.
And what gamers, we love to get angry. They're very quick to be angry. It is not truly a good comparison to compare Baldur's Gate 3 to a game that comes out like, let's say, like Diablo 4 just came out. Diablo 4 was being developed for about as long as Baldur's Gate 3 was.
Wow.
But I wasn't playing Baldur's Gate when it came out this month. I was playing it 3 years ago because Baldur's Gate has been in early access for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
I bought that game back then, and I'll tell you, I played it the day it came out in early access, and there were bugs aplenty.
For sure.
There were whole parts where my brother and I were playing a co-op campaign, and our entire campaign broke because our characters could no longer talk to other characters. We couldn't advance the story at all. We turned it off and we said, we'll come back in a little bit. And I've restarted that game 5 or 6 times. When that game came out, there was only one or a third of the game was out. So it is not the same thing as a game that just came out. That game did not just appear.
True.
It's been being built for 3 years. Now, should every game come out in early access and beta test for that long? Maybe, if it produces this. But there's a lot of people that are thinking that this game just arose and is now perfect. They've been working on it for like 7 years. For 3 years, they've been doing... Imagine a game that's been out for 3 years with all the patches that have come since. Compare it to something like that.
Okay, so something comes to mind. Cyberpunk. But they messed up because they released it as of
now,
early access.
Think about...
And now it's like a really good...
Think about where
game.
Cyberpunk is right now. And that even hasn't even quite been... I mean, it's about been 3 years.
3 years.
So imagine if Cyberpunk came out now... Back then, when it first arrived, people maybe would still have some things, but it wouldn't be nearly the same.
But it would have been 15 years, because that game took like
Correct.
10 years into development.
And I'm not making any value judgment on which way is the right way to go or not. I think Baldur's Gate is worthy of saying, this is awesome, and it would be nice if more people could do more stuff like this. But Larian Studios is a company that only makes these types of games, so they're very good at it. They have 400 developers, which is more than most even big studios do. And they were building the game for 3 years with player feedback. If anyone else chooses to do that and comes up with a game that's just in the same good, fantastic. But I'm not going to expect Concerned Ape, who made Stardew Valley, single guy, one guy by himself. I don't expect him to make a game this big. I don't expect any indie dev who's a small team making a small game. I'm not going to hold it to the same standards. It's not the same thing. But there is this element of devs, and the other thing is that gamers should be angry, but they shouldn't be angry at developers, because there probably isn't a developer alive who wouldn't take an extra 3 years to make the game they're making even better. You need to be mad at the publishers, because those are the people who say, game has to come out, we don't care, ship it with the bugs, put in a patch later. Bobby Kotick is the person to be mad at. Those are the people to be angry with. Well, and you should be angry with them if they put out games that are broken. Games shouldn't come out broken, but I don't think there's a dev that's being like, I've been working on this game for 7 years, and I'm happy that it was broken when we pushed it out. They would have all said, we'll work on it for another year, easily.
Of course. When you put it that way, what they're upset about is that it's working as well as it is. Perhaps that's just what is required to develop an open world game, is you have to have a development cycle that is a 10-year development cycle.
We are finding that more and more these days, right?
I mean, and you can't expect the principles that guided game development in the late 90s and early 2000s to cross-apply to 2023. And yet at the same time, I think there's this question of, well, is it worth it? Because if I am the publisher, I'm like, look, I'm going to sink money into a team of 400 developers. I have to not, like, this isn't charity, like, it's a business, and I ultimately have to profit on this venture, and looks like that they are, but there are lots of teams that go for it.
And Larian is independent, so they didn't have a publisher telling them, you have to be out now, and their early access funded the development, because they sold it. They were selling it. You could opt in to buy it, and you knew what you were buying. I at no point was ever angry that the game was broken in a lot of ways, because I knew that I was buying an early version of the game.
I wonder if one of the byproducts too is that it gives you a sense of ownership over the game. Like, I helped make this as good as it is, and that gives players more goodwill towards the game.
I will tell you the downside of early access. I've done it now a couple times. Is that when I buy games that I really get into in early access, I burn myself out on before they come out. So I put like 200 hours into Hades, but I never played that game after it came out where it had an ending, because I played it too much in early access. Same thing with Dead Cells, same thing with Rogue Legacy 2. I played too much of it early, and I realized all the cool stuff that they add later I just end up missing because I just played too much of it.
That's one of my concerns that I was thinking about how you're gaming with Baldur's Gate 3. You've been playing it for how long? how long was early access?
3 years.
3 years. So,
and I haven't played it at all since it came out.
So I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I played a little bit.
When I download a demo of a game that comes out 2 weeks before the launch date, I play the demo, and I think that's good enough for me. I'm not even gonna purchase the real game, right? Or I'm not even excited for the real game anymore. Yeah, I already got a little taste of it.
Yep.
You've been playing this game for 3 years. Now, for me, I want to be surprised. I want to play something fun and revolutionary where they just drop on you, like Tears of the Kingdom, even though Breath of the Wild was basically a port of the game. Now, playing a game that's developing for 3 years, do you get the same excitement when it drops? Or,
it burns it a little bit.
Right?
And also, remember, I played that game so many times, starting over and over again, playing the same area because it was all that existed. I've never seen the second 2/3 of the game where there's all new areas, the rest of the story.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get there because I do really like it. Baldur's Gate also, you create a character, you can create a different class. You can play the game totally differently.
So the second time.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't do this with, like, I don't know, a driving game or something where it's like, like or a Mario Kart, or even like a Mario where they're making bespoke levels. Like, it would be a little rough to play Mario in early access.
Yeah, World 1
you can play World 1 over and over and over again, get really good at it. And then when it comes out, you're like, I don't want to play World 1 again.
Right.
It's a double-edged sword, but it allowed them to make the game they did. The game is really fantastic, and I think any developer should be saying, what can we take from this game as good ideas? What can we take from Tears of the Kingdom and say, that was a good idea? We should do something like that in our game. I think that's exciting.
Well, on that note,
I'm for that.
I heard Tears of the Kingdom's mechanics. Nintendo put a patent.
They are trying
on some of the mechanics.
To patent it. I don't know if that's going to go through.
Yes, like the grab hand and
the loading screen.
Yeah, I heard about that too. But you can patent everything, right?
Like, well, you can try. Yeah. You can.
That doesn't mean anyone's going to rip you off or copy it. But.
All right, so let's get into a game that Josh started last time, and then we're going to interview you. You're going to get a focus here in a minute. But Josh did this thing on the last podcast. I'm sure you listened to it twice, where he brought over from his garage a number of items, and he said, are these neat or not? Ladies and gentlemen, Josh, what do you have for today's neat or not?
I cleaned out my garage. I don't have anything left.
Well, fortunately,
I don't have any stuff.
I'm going to remedy that problem by playing Neat or Not Game on Expo Edition.
Sweet.
That's right.
Punky and I both get to be Neat or Not.
You guys are going to judge
render a
if this
neat
is
or
neat
not.
or not, okay? So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to pull out some of the pickups, not all of them. I got some things to keep, some things to flip. I think everything here that you're about to see is stuff that I'm keeping from the expo. And a couple that I haven't. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to play them first. If I'm seeing
now, Punky, let me tell you something very important about Neat or Not. Neat or Not has no. There's no objectives.
Nah and
nah,
like NA like nah.
Nah.
Gotcha. Nah.
This is purely. What do you think about this? Doesn't matter if it's valuable. Doesn't matter if it's worthless. There's no. It doesn't have objective standards. This is like. Neat or not?
Gotcha. Do you want to know what I paid for the items as I pull them up?
Yeah. We can talk about that, but that should have no. Should have no bearing on whether it's neat or not.
So I've been enjoying collecting PS1 games because I just like the generation.
I like it.
I got both of these for $1, so 50 cents each. Moto Racer 2 and Motocross Mania, just generic Excitebike type clones. Mm-hmm. Neat or not?
Nah. Twice because there's 2 games.
And you know what? You know why? You know why it's not because it's not Road Rash.
Well, all right, but for 50 cents each, I felt
that's
like
not bad. That's not bad.
But we have to include the price then, so then kind of neat.
I mean, no.
You're skewed.
I wouldn't pay the 50 cents because I just don't want to play.
To me, the 50 cents to play these was like yeah.
Are these games you've played before?
Years ago, I played Moto Racer on my compact laptop computer when I was in the year 2000.
That's neat that you're playing
that. Is neat.
That was neat.
Right alongside Sop with Camel.
Try not to look. I'm gonna keep these hidden for you. This is so McDonald's made the Grimace game on Game Boy.
Game Boy Color, correct?
And someone made a physical version of it.
Oh. Wait, is that recent?
Grimace's birthday.
Recently made it?
Yeah, literally.
Like about 2 months ago. I think May was his birthday.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a new thing. This isn't McKids or anything like that.
No, this is a new game that they made as a Game Boy game. someone put the game on a reproduction
Cart.
Game Boy cartridge,
And that really works.
And it really works.
Awesome.
You play it on your Game Boy.
That is neat.
Super neat.
I think that's neat.
I thought that the ROM dump of that McDonald's did was neat.
I think
This
that's
is
neat
really
too,
neat.
but that's really neat.
Yeah, it's
I love
purple.
the idea that
Wait,
that
have
thing
you-
could plug into a
Have you
real
tried the
one.
milkshake? Have you tried the Grimace milkshake?
I refuse to because I don't want to die.
Yeah, I'll get diabetes immediately.
All right, here's the next one. So this is a not for resale Legend of Zelda, the Between Worlds, Link Between Worlds on the 3DS.
Great
One
game.
of my favorite Zelda games
Fantastic
ever.
game.
Now here's the thing with not for resales. I generally avoid them.
What does that mean?
So this was like if you went to the store and they're like, this new Zelda game's coming out, they would put like a version of the game, and so this is not to resell, and because it's not the full game. So like you can play the demo in the store.
Demo version.
And so-
this is what's
version.
in the 3DS.
Kiosk
that
So
you,
like,
that's
whatever.
like
tied
I
to,
have
think.
I have Mario Party
Yeah.
3 not for resale. The N64
Is
era.
it the full game?
No.
No, it's the special demo.
So like the
very
Majora's
limited.
Mask not for resale game on the N64, if you find that game, it's worth like several $1,000s. So I paid $20 for this,
that's very cool.
which is about the going rate for it. Neat or
Okay.
not?
I think that's neat.
I think it's neat.
I'm staying in.
You know
my
why
collection.
I think that's neat is because when I was young, I entered the Blockbuster Video Game Championship
Oh, no
at
way.
my local store, and they had two versions of it. You could play Sega or you could play Super Nintendo.
Right.
And the Super Nintendo version was just Donkey Kong, but they let you. It was a special version of Donkey Kong Country that. It was like there was no loading or anything. It was timed, and it was just like every level would just flow into the next, so you could play until you ran out of time. You're supposed to get as many bananas as you could. They had a copy of that was rentable for free, and you could take it home and practice. And I wish that I would have stolen it.
You should have.
I know, because I
That's
would have
the
just had it.
Donkey Kong Country competition.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
One
you
of
had
the
so
rarest
I
Super Nintendo games.
I
Yeah.
had that at my house multiple times because I practiced, and then I went and played, and on my run I choked. I had a plan and everything, and I accidentally
no.
it required the ground pound from Donkey Kong to
yeah.
open up a bunch
Down
of
and
extra
wide.
bananas, and I was running and I died, and I had Diddy, and he can't ground
can't
pound,
ground pound.
and my whole run was I didn't win.
That's a neat story.
Yeah.
I love
That's a neat story. I'm not going to know that story.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
It's a neat. I got a neat for my story.
So I had one objective to find when I was at Game On Expo, and it was Kid Nicky Complete in Box.
Okay.
Could not find it.
All right.
But I'm collecting certain NES games. I don't even have it, but I want to get it like Double Dribble in
Sure.
box because that's a game I love. It's
Sure.
not a valuable game,
Awesome.
but it's one that I love.
Yep.
Here's one from a series that is fantastic. This is Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse. Complete in the box. I need to get a better plastic cover for it. But I spent $110 on this complete in box. I'm seeing them on eBay for like $180.
Definitely neat.
I think that the old NES boxes are so cool looking.
I'm going to level that up for you a little bit. I think that the Konami ones, in particular, that gray box, and that there's a signature element to the way that they're designed where you're like, that's a Konami box.
Right.
Definitely.
There are-
Win
was always
a
good.
trip to Dracula's hometown.
Yeah.
So you go to like Romania,
Transylvania.
and it's like, well, this is not that fun.
So it's not in perfect condition, but I have seen way worse.
no, it'll,
Castlevania 3 is.
I've actually haven't seen a box variant with this little how to win Dracula's hometown. So that's very neat. That's a
Wow.
different.
yeah, I
variant.
think that's very neat. Yeah,
I got to look that up. Maybe I accidentally got sold something.
cool.
That's very neat.
Maybe did something cool.
Let's stay on the NES train with another Konami title. Was not intending to buy NES games, but then someone had the unfortunately titled Monster in My Pocket on the NES.
Yeah.
This is one I see on a lot of hidden gems lists. The label's perfect. It's a rental. It's got some rental stickers on it, which
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
love that as well. Have you guys played this game, and is this
No.
neat or not?
I think it's very neat. I love that game. I played it.
Yeah.
The cool part is the box version. I'm sure you know. Comes with a little monster. It's Monsters in My Pocket. I think it's.
It was like a
TV
cartoon or
show.
a toy,
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there was a very there was a toy line. So the video game version of this box came with its own little unique monster.
No way.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's
Oh.
cool.
So that's neat. This is very neat.
I think it's yeah.
You gotta pick one.
Yeah.
You gotta pick one.
Nah.
You say no?
It's not a property that I cared about, so
This is a
if it was
cartridge.
Mighty Max, then we could be talking.
I don't think maybe it's because I wasn't looking for it. but I almost never see this game
Really?
at events or
Okay.
anything. Someone had it for 80. This guy was selling it for 60, and then he agreed on 55.
Wow, that's a good
Nice.
price.
Okay.
Another Konami title.
Another Konami title for the pile.
Konami.
All right,
Konami.
here's a couple of fun ones here. Let's start with this will be a theme. I'll go this one. So how about Galarian's Ash? This is the sequel to the PS1 title Galarian's, which is like a sci-fi Resident Evil with psychic powers
Who
game.
made it?
Sammy Studios
Oh, okay.
and Enterbrain. So I don't know who's the publisher, who's the developer, but it's teen for blood and gore, suggestive themes, and violence. I wanted to play it just because I like the series, but I have not played this version
Really?
of it. Is it neat or nah? And have you played it? That's what I want to know too.
Nah.
Nah, for me. Never played it, never heard of it.
Like
I've never even heard of Sammy
it
Studios.
looks like every box cover VHS in Blockbuster when you walk down the sci-fi section.
That box art cover is pretty cool, though, but nah. for
It
me.
just looks so
It's
generic.
very generic.
Also, I
Let's get a
feel like
zoom up
I
on this.
am knowledgeable in games. Never heard of Galarian's Ash.
Galarian.
That's
Yeah. Galarian's Ash. No.
Nah.
I think this is around the
Nah.
time. Do you remember the game Second Sight?
Vaguely,
The people who
yes.
made Time Splitters made it.
Yes,
And it's a psychic
okay.
powers game.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that
It
one.
bombed spectacularly.
It's no Psyops, the mind gate.
Psyops is great.
Psyops is great.
All right, here's one that a lot of vendors have at events, but people kind of, I think it's one people know about, but not one that a lot of people have actually played. Rising Zan, the samurai gunman. This is something like a cross between a spaghetti western and kung fu movies and acid. Being on acid.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a very bizarre game. I had this in college, and then I sold it, and when I got rid of my PS1 stuff,
Rising Zan. So he has a gun and a sword?
he's the samurai gunman.
Guns and swords are cool, and together I think that's neat.
Okay,
I think that's neat as well.
good. If you've played this, let us know what you think of it. It's very bizarre. Okay, now we're going to get on to a kick here. Another PS2 title. This is Ghost in the Shell, the standalone complex. I wanted to try it out. Never played it. I've actually never seen Ghost in the Shell before.
Standalone complex is fantastic. I think that the Ghost in the Shell, the original, mid. It was revolutionary. It's one of those movies where you watch and be like, yeah, I bet if I watched this at the time, this would have been neat, but it's not as good. Standalone Complex, which is a series, it's like an anime show, so it's multiple episodes, unbelievably fantastic.
Okay.
Like, so good. So I've never played the game. I don't know, but
you like this story.
I like this show so much that I think the game probably could be pretty cool.
Okay.
So neat.
I say neat.
I think neat too. I'm familiar with the anime, saw a couple shows growing up. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, how about this then? Went out to breakfast with a friend of the show. The friend of the channel is named Insane D Gamer.
Okay.
And he goes, I got you something.
Insane D Gamer.
The Ghost in the Shell standalone complex box set. Hold on a second.
Whoa.
Autographed by the guy who made Ghost in the Shell.
Oh,
You were just talking about this series. There it is.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
So
that is as neat as it gets.
I think so. Mary something
Motoko.
Motoko. So not the person who made the show. I don't know.
It might be the actress.
Based on the manga by Shigeru
Shigeru Watanabe.
Let's see.
Wait, is this the show or is this the game?
Director. This is the show.
This is the show. Oh, you have the show now.
This is the whole show.
This is the anime, yeah, or the.
So
the series.
this must be the voice actor.
Yeah, I think it's the voice actor.
Wait, open it up. Open it up real quick. Open up that one. There's another.
It's a different
There's
person.
another signature
I think
here.
that's
You got multiple.
Hold on.
Oh, you get a signature on each one.
There's two signatures so far. Let's see if there's more signatures. There might be.
Might have been the only people that were relevant.
Okay, there's two.
That is a cool set, man.
I was blown away by this
two,
gift.
huh?
Let's see, just the two. Yeah, just the two are autographed.
Okay.
So I think I misunderstood him. I think he was saying the main actress.
Yes, correct.
Not the
Correct.
person who developed. Or
Because I
created
think
it.
the creator of Ghost in the Shell may not have had anything
Yeah.
necessarily to do with
Yes,
Standalone Complex.
does-
Maybe.
Was it like Teresa? Maybe.
Tegusa.
Tegusa.
Who knows?
Okay. Well,
Very cool, though. You have the show now.
I have the show.
That's a great
and
show,
the
man.
game. Now let's go to the last
Shout
thing.
out to your friend that gifted that to you again. What was his name?
Insane D Gamer. Thank you so
Awesome.
much. Yeah. All right, and the last thing is this. So, my kids are a part of a film that came out.
Yes.
Called Asteroid City, and it came out on Blu-ray.
Yep.
And I got an autographed copy of it by the main stars of the film, my daughters. And this is an actual physical copy with the real life.
Wow, actual
signatures from the Tom Hanks's grandkids and Jason Schwartzman's kids in the film.
Right.
And they play Cassiopeia, Pandora, and Andromeda.
Yeah.
Neat or nah?
That's very neat.
Yeah.
That's
Super duper neat.
I'd be off the show if I said no.
This is the neatest thing. You can tell me honestly, but this is the neatest thing in my collection. I honestly like with the way that their signature is at this stage of life too. I'm like literally gonna frame this because it's perfect.
I mean, you'll need to
golden.
like get another one of those when they're like 20 and have them sign again, so you could have both.
Hopefully when they're 20, the Criterion Collection version will be out.
That's
by that
right.
point.
Yeah, maybe you should get every version that comes out and have them sign it at the various stages.
You know I'm going to.
Yeah, I know.
Like when there's a Wes
That's a good
Anderson
idea.
box set with like a
Right.
variant cover or a 4K version.
That's very
happening.
neat.
I'm buying every single one
That's
of
the
them.
definition of neat.
All right, Punky has been running Hidden Gem Videogames for 1 year. Congratulations,
Thank
buddy.
you. Thank you
Congrats.
so much. Thank you.
So you went off, started your own business. We want to know a little bit about it, but how do you? I guess there's a lot of questions. Is there a too long didn't read version of why did you open up a game store?
I guess that's kind of like everyone's childhood dream, right? I'm not sure if you ever wanted to open up an arcade or a video game store of your own as a kid, but that's my TLDR response. I've kind of always wanted to do it. It was a bucket list, quite of a peculiar bucket list, but I got it done. So
you did get it done. Now, a lot of people when they, say they do the thing that they wanted to do as a kid because it sounds fun,
Right.
yeah.
but then it's like an actual business.
Mm-hmm.
How have those two things collided or integrated for you in a way that's made this the experience that it's been for you so far?
Definitely drastically. In short, when I spend a hard day's work at the store and I get home to unwind, the last thing I want to do is pick up a video game.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that's the worst of it.
Uh-huh.
That's just probably the worst of it, just not having the time or the ability to play and enjoying as I used to.
It's interesting because I wonder, as a business model, I'm watching other store owners. Our good friend Chris over at Retro Games Plus, some of our friends like Romeo at LA Video Games, others who own game stores. They talk about the ways that they have to, they have a central product with like retro video games, but they branch out into shirts or collectibles or records or VHS because it's kind of collecting any of the old stuff. How much of your store is about video games and how much is it about the other stuff?
Right now, I want to say about 60% video games, maybe a little bit more. About 60-40 or 70-30.
Okay.
When I first started, it was probably like about 80% on video games and consoles.
So what is the other portion of that?
At my store, we
branched out
sell
into?
T-shirts, but we have very little T-shirts. But we have simple merch like toys, plushies, figurines.
Are those game related as well, or do you branch like anime, whatever, Hello Kitty, whatever?
Right, a little bit of everything, I guess, in terms of pop culture and stuff that I like.
Sure.
So it's a little bit biased of what I like.
Why would you not have a store if you didn't get to fill it with all the things you like?
Yeah.
But I think what I'm into is kind of like what everybody likes. I hope, but what I think is cool.
Or at least you're into cool things.
I hope so. Yeah, but so far we've been getting good feedback. But yeah, about now it's 60-40. We sell plushies, video games, clothing, toys, and just a lot of knickknacks that you'll see in a regular collectible or hobby store.
Okay. And it's interesting because when I brought my kids over I think we were on the way home from like a dentist appointment or something. I was like, we got to stop here. And they all, they don't know about video games, but they know some about video games, but they're like, they saw the Kirby plushies and stuff, and they're like, give us the plushies. And so it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. How have you noticed, like in terms of business, how, I don't know how to ask this question other than to be a little delicate, but how how profitable is it to run a business that's dependent on inventory being sourced from, people's garages, essentially?
Right. In that sense, where the retro stuff, that's tough, right? That's you can't just go and from a distributor and order.
Can't buy new Snow Brothers.
Yes, exactly. That's very challenging. But
you can now from limited run games.
That's true.
Yes, but yeah.
In that case, you get a lot of walk-ins and trade-ins, which really helps the store. But profitability wise, this industry is not a lucrative industry. So I think people that do get into it, all the names that you mentioned, is more of it's a passionate thing where some money could be made, where you can make a decent living.
You can keep it going.
It pays the bills, all that. But I think the end of the day for me, what's important is just having a good time and enjoying my work and my career and my craft. So profitability, there's profit to be made. It's such a niche market.
Right.
It's dependent on clients and customers and how much is sold on days in and days out.
Do you have an online portion to your business, or are you just brick and mortar?
Brick and mortar now. I used to sell online, and I'm just kind of getting away from that.
Yeah.
But we're gonna dabble. I used to sell. I had a Shopify store online, and I was really selling some good amounts of video games during the pandemic. But I guess just my focus was the brick and mortar and the storefront. I just wanted to create a store experience, right? Shopping online is it's really
soulless.
Convenient, but it's soulless, and especially in our industries, video games and the condition, and you kind of want to see and test and touch.
If you're not buying like just a brand new sealed, whatever just came out, then it matters much more of what the thing you're actually buying, right?
Very true.
It's true. You're buying You're not buying video games. You're buying collectibles.
Right.
Those are different.
Yeah.
Right.
Like very different.
They're the same but completely different.
Right.
Yeah, and just the experience when when I see my customers come in and they just get drawn back, like, whoa, it's like step into memory lane, right? And they see a bunch of stuff that they grew up on or remember seeing back in the day that they used to own. And that's very important to me, and I think that's important as a customer and as a shopper. But online, you kind of don't get that experience at all. If you were to go on, DKODs or GameStop, you don't get that. Whoa, look at that Mario Brothers. I used to have that, as opposed to seeing it in person.
One of the cool things about your shop is I remember walking in the first day before you actually have fully opened your doors, and you have all these console boxes at the top.
Right.
And I was like, man, how much is that? And you're like, oh, no. Those are my collection for display.
Like that's your stuff.
That Virtual Boy box is not for sale. It's just for you to look at, and that's what it evokes, is that like, oh, I remember walking into Toys R Us and seeing all of the stacks of N64 consoles or whatever, and how it was the best console of all time.
It's funny you say this. I get asked that every day of when the stores open. They're like, yo, how much is that? I want that. But Josh, I look at it as an asset to the store. It's like a fixture, right? It draws customers in, and it brings the customers in, and they see it, and it's nostalgia.
You're serving me because I don't want that stuff. I don't want to buy it. But I want to see it. That's why I love coming here. There's a lot of things that I want to see, but I specifically got rid of my stuff because I couldn't have it just sitting in a closet anymore. So for me personally, I'm probably not going to be a customer of retro games, but I absolutely want to go and look, and then collectible other things. That's absolutely where you can. That's where. So I think it's smart to branch in that way.
Well, Josh abandoned a few of his children here at the garage. If you'd like to come back and visit him,
happily too.
Like he's still...
Happily, I
more daycare.
That's why I'm not. That's why I'm not allowed to have real kids, because I would probably be like, man, this is lame. I'm gonna leave these kids somewhere else.
That's good.
Well, you can bring them by the store.
Bring them by the store and be like, hey, kids, you work here now.
Speaking of inventory, what kinds of your inventory right now do you find selling more than you thought, and then on the flip side, you were certain it was going to sell and it's just been sitting?
Ooh, that's tough. Everything is cyclical. Did I say that right?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It just goes in waves. Seasonal. Yeah. It's really weird how what's popular and what's not. When I first started 3DS and handheld, was all that craze, and I believe a lot of it had to do with just the Nintendo eShop closing down. So that's how they wanted handhelds, and it's still really popular. And that threw me off guard because I had none of that in stock.
When
they
go
were kind of hard to get
right
too.
now. Nearly every customer is asking me at events for 3DS games.
Right.
And at Game On Expo, almost no 3DS games. Like they're
Wow.
Yeah, it's scarce.
nowhere. Yeah.
It flip flops, so that's always consistent. But GameCube and N64, all Nintendo stuff is usually pretty good. But I'll go through months on out where I won't sell any N64 games, but GameCube will sell. And then the next 3 months it flips, where N64 is all the craze, and then GameCube's just sitting there forever. So it's kind of hard to gauge, and I've only been opened up for a year, but it's interesting to see what sells and what doesn't, and stuff that sits on the shelf for a very long time eventually does sell out of nowhere. It's still a learning process to me. It's all really interesting, but a little bit of everything moves. Old stuff like Atari, the classics, the 70s and 80s, they're just collecting dust. Rarely requested.
That, I feel like that nostalgia is not there, or the people that would have had that, because that would be like pre-me even. Like I played my uncle's Atari, but I never owned one. Yeah. So it was never. It was always just something where it was like, oh yeah, I'm familiar with that. It wasn't until the NES that like video games could become mine.
Yeah, and I have a theory. I mean, this is probably the reason why, but Atari stuff is such, dinosaur technology where it's not fun to turn on and play.
It was all we had. So
at the
it was
time.
cool at the time. But
So
you remember that when the NES came out, I remember like even going to my uncle's house and seeing his Atari and just being like, I would never ever play that again. Ever. Would never play Yar's Revenge ever again because we have Mario now.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
It killed it immediately. Well, they killed themselves through the crash, but like even just the idea of playing it was like, oh, I would never play that.
Right.
No, there's certain technological leaps that make
Leave it in the
older
dust.
games unplayable unless you grew up playing them. Right. I would have put money on this, that the NES was done like 5 years ago. I was like, it's over. Like all of us have gotten it.
That's pretty recent too. 5 years ago. Wow.
Yeah, like
that's a bold statement.
Yeah, I mean, I was like kind of just thinking, just in terms of timeline, who's buying NES games? Yeah. Most of us that want NES games are in our 40s now, and like we don't, like we grew up. I was playing NES when I was 5. Right. I enjoyed it. Same. I loved it, but then that was that. And what kid today who's 25 wants NES? No, my NES stuff goes at every event that I go to. Like people always.
But those games, there are a lot of bad NES games, but there are some great. Still,
really fun. Still, very fun.
Great design, playing
simple.
NES games. Yeah. That's the difference, I think.
So I just did a Garbage or Gold episode where we played Kabuki Quantum Fighters, which is like a super...
You're whipping your hair back and forth as an attack?
It's the Willow game.
Jaden Smith.
Willow Smith.
It was Willow, that's right.
Yeah.
But he did it, too.
He did it. Yeah, he did.
Like I bought it because everyone said it's a hidden gem. I got it for like less than $20. Like, I'm going to give this a shot. And we, like, on Garbage or Gold, like, we loved it. We're like, we want to keep playing this game. It felt like playing the old Batman game, and we both really enjoyed it. So.
And with that said, I mean, you can't, I don't know, maybe I didn't grow up with Atari, and I'm sure a lot of tons of people have, and they probably do feel that
They're
nostalgia.
All dead. They're all too old.
Yeah, maybe, right?
They're too old.
But I can't see
everyone that's older than me doesn't exist in my brain.
There's no reason to just hook up an Atari, which has RF connectivity, and then just like one button on a joystick playing. I don't even know ET, right? How could that be fun, right? Yeah. So a lot of people that do buy Atari stuff is just for a collection or nostalgia piece,
or display. Maybe to put,
it's never to purchase or play.
Do people still bring in Atari stuff to you and try to sell it?
Absolutely.
And what do you do when that comes to the door?
Sorry, these aren't popular. We just gotta have to kindly decline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't even tell a person, hey, you know why you don't want this? That's why nobody wants this.
What about like I noticed you have a lot of new games in your store, including a lot of limited run stuff. You have a lot of the newest releases. Sometimes, like when Final Fantasy 16 came out, you were showing stacks of that game.
Right.
How well does that sell in a ma and pa shop? Because I would think, in my mind, I'm like, I'm just going to go to Best Buy and get it.
Right.
I'm not thinking I'm going to go to your store and get it.
Yeah.
How well does that stuff sell for you?
I'm just like you. I don't even think I would buy it out of my own store if I wanted a game. I'd probably just get it from Amazon and have it shipped to me than buy it at my own store. Right. I'm the same way, just like everybody. But surprisingly, it does well. You just have to gauge the amount of stock that you're going to fill your store with.
That's
right.
the tough thing.
Modern games drop in price so fast. And I would think that when that game price drops, you're basically, are you stuck with that stock?
Yeah, you are. You're stuck. It's going to stay, especially games that do poorly or tank. They stay at a rate that's affordable or cheaper than obviously the distribution cost that I've got it for, the wholesale cost. So you have to tread lightly. Again, AAA releases, you kind of have to you're forced into getting it because there are customers that do come in and they do want it day one, where they'll come and pick it up on their ship as opposed to wait from Amazon or Best Buy to ship it on day 2 or day 3, right? People want to play the day of or even earlier. As early as possible.
But you've never broken a street date before.
Oh, never. I don't get it that early.
We would never do that.
Moving on.
But new games. I think tomorrow I will be getting Madden 24, which drops Friday. So I'll get my delivery a day early, so I could prep and stock it and have it available on street dates. So
that's cool.
Do you feel like you have gotten a hold of like the magic number of like, I roughly know how many of these I should be getting, or is it still a guessing game of like, I don't know, it's
still a guessing game, and this year we had tons of great new releases. So much good stuff.
It's great
year. I mean, you got, I'm just gonna go backwards, right? But we had Pikmin 4 and Hogwarts Legacy and Street Fighter 6, Final Fantasy 16, Diablo 4. I mean,
Tears of the
Kingdom, hodgepodge of games, right?
Forbidden West,
all of that
this year.
Tons. So,
and then was destroyed by Tears of the Kingdom again. So,
so you'd be surprised. Like, I would just pick up a handful of copies, but it's by demand, right? So a lot of people are calling, saying, "Hey, are you guys gonna get?"
You have an idea.
I gauge it
because I'm curious about like something like Baldur's Gate 3, which will come out on PlayStation. And it is a very popular game right now. And it feels like it might be, but it also might be a game where you're like, I need to buy like 5.
Right.
And I'll have 5 and I'll sell 4, and then I can have 1 for people. Like, it is still a moving target, right? Every single time.
But you said the magic number. I think 5 is a sweet spot for me. 5 to 6 copies.
Okay.
So surprisingly, I mean, there's surprises everywhere, right? Every day. But Pikmin 4, not a lot of requests. I probably had like 2 or 3 calls. I've sold out on all of my orders, and it's weird because I guess maybe it did good. I don't know if Pikmin 4 did well or not, but I got more requests after the fact that it released.
Interesting.
What about original Xbox and Xbox 360?
Xbox is terrible now.
My inventory just sits.
It's all Xbox. I mentioned Xbox 360
even Xbox
earlier.
One.
Xbox One does not move at all. Not at all. And I'm wondering, where are you Xbox fans? Where are you, right? Microsoft, I don't know. I think
they
everyone
don't exist.
They don't. It's just
there's a very small number
I think
of them.
the thing that killed it for, at least for them, is that Games Pass. There's like a lot of retro games like Black, which is a great first-person shooter, and even like Armed and Dangerous and a bunch of other ones, or maybe not Armed and Dangerous, but the point being that a lot of those games you can just play on Games Pass.
Right.
Why would I want to get the physical of it?
That's probably it.
And I would imagine that hurts on the resale point.
And even with like Starfield, like Xbox gamers might just play that on Game Pass and not have to buy it at all. But there's going to be like, again, there'll be some people that probably do want a collection. I know like Wrecked Wizards has a Bethesda collection, right? And so that would be a physical copy that would probably go into a collection, but that's the double-edged sword of Games Pass.
It is. But it is the future, like it or not. So it's not really the future, it's the now.
Right.
I
wonder, when you look at, I cut you off, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking about Xbox and their exclusivity, and there's not really anything that comes to mind besides Gears.
Halo.
And Halo.
Yeah.
Right. And everyone, all my customers that come in, like, yo, you want to pick out some Xbox games? Like, no, I just got my Xbox just to play Halo. Just to play Gears. It's usually just those 2 titles. And I got it on Games Pass, so just those 2 titles. There's nothing else.
Game Pass.
When you think of, I wondered this because I love going to events, and it's a lot to lug around all my stuff. and it's a little irritating. And I'm going right now at a pace of like a couple times a month to events. And speaking of which, we're going to talk about yours in a minute. But when you look at the future of a resale business like this, what's your forecast or outlook? Because it seems like you're taking a risk, and yet at the same time it seems incredibly lucrative, like if you play it right. Like it seems like it's not a business that it seems like it's a business that can really thrive, but
right.
also that there are some risks involved. Like how do you look at all that stuff?
Right now, just the first year, I think I came into the store very under stocked.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Right. I felt that way. So my main focus was just to get as much stuff in the store, plenty of inventory to kind of satisfy everybody. Obviously, that's a huge risk, but you kind of want to go into a store that has a lot of variety, a lot of selections.
But if you're going to make that mistake, it's probably better to go understocked than overstocked, right? Because you could be stuck with that stuff maybe forever.
Exactly. But what I've found is at least these things kind of appreciate in time, especially for the retro stuff.
They really do.
So there's kind of not limited, but there are risks there, but not as risky as new merchandise. So that's what the new stuff is kind of like with the price drops and everything like you mentioned earlier. That's probably the biggest risk.
I'm coming in. I'm going to bring in a trade. You can tell me right now. Mint condition. Xbox 360 Sneak King. What do I get? What do I get?
The Burger King game.
The Burger King game.
If it's you, I will give you a very reasonable offer.
Which is what, $1?
Probably $2 store credit.
$2.
That much?
But then normally I would just decline it only because I like
Steam
you,
games.
Josh.
Okay, so
But that's a hard decline.
I literally had a pile of free games at SoCal. Sneak King was in there.
Of course.
It stayed.
It stayed. No one took it for free. Yeah, so I wouldn't foist that upon you. But my goodness.
How about Rock Band instruments?
Ooh, good question.
That's a good topic to actually touch
because I
on.
do have those in the garage.
So Rock Band and Guitar Hero kind of made a little resurgence. Yeah. Rock Band got popular because of the pandemic and people were just playing and trapped at home. But with the guitars for Guitar Hero, I'm not sure if you heard of Clone Hero.
I did. I actually, one of the reasons why I'm going to pull one of mine out.
There you go.
Thinking about
what's Clone Hero?
Clone Hero is they basically took the code of Guitar Hero and made a PC version of it that can play. People can make their own tracks, put their own songs. And it's free.
You want Radiohead,
and
OK Computer?
You can play like basically every song you can think of is now on there, and it's full on. They have made it a fully scored. Cool. There's leaderboards. There's everything.
Just with the mystique of Radiohead, I'd almost like if I put an OK Computer into Rock Band, I'd be like, make sure Tom York's not looking, guys.
True. And in fact, I believe Clone Hero has drum support.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure.
Play drums, which is what makes me want to buy an electronic drum kit.
What's a console that rarely, if ever, comes in, like that you wish would come in more?
Yeah, Neo Geo. I mean, that was a phantom console when I was young. Right, I didn't think that existed, but right now, GameCube's pretty popular, surprisingly. Even though,
what about a 3DO?
A 3DO, yes, I just got a 3DO.
Did you really?
Yeah. But the problem with like these old consoles, they don't work. They just don't age well.
Correct.
Yeah. They come in and half the time it's just not
your
working.
CDI, the tray's not going to work,
or the lens is bad. Yeah. But Atari Jaguar doesn't come in. You don't see that too often. The 3DO, the CDI.
Mm-hmm.
Sega CDs, you get a bunch of those.
Dreamcast, Sega CD.
Dreamcast comes in pretty often. Sega CD does come in often. Virtual Boys never come in. I mean, that's a rarity. But
people threw those away.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. I've got a few items. I
know. So unfortunately, I always got to pass my stuff on to Mort, but. I don't know. Maybe I'll bypass more.
You've passed on some really good stuff. I'm about to intercept some of those the items that he's gonna pass on.
Josh is really generous, but I love these.
Mort knows to give to if he has things that I've given him that he is not going to do anything with. They can go right to. I double stamp that.
I'm starting to have. People are being very generous. Like going to these events, people are starting to give me items. And sometimes it's a double, or it's something that, just to be honest, like I wouldn't keep or whatever. But I love the gesture.
Sure.
But what I'm thinking would be a cool thing to do is, rather than like trying to sell it or whatever, like, is I want to have at my buy sell trade events a giveaway pile that is stuff that's like, I don't want to sell this. It was a gift, but if you could use it, why
Correct.
don't you take it? And
You would
maybe,
like this.
And then maybe even encourage, like, bring something to put in the free pile of stuff. But I don't know. That's a lot to... I don't want to carry around other people's junk, too. They're like, let me get rid of Sneak King and give it to Mort. So there you go.
So the gifts that I brought is probably going to go in the junk pile. What do you think? I'm taking that back. Back to the store it goes.
You're going to be looking at that junk pile.
Let me show you one of the things that Josh gave me complete.
Whoa, Ghost Babel. There you go.
Yeah.
This thing is
That was yours?
Beautiful condition.
I had no idea. I still
What's
have
this worth?
the text.
Like 200 now?
I think, 200-300 completed
I've
box.
made so many mistakes in
and
my
then
life.
He gave me Earthbound and Metal Warriors like 5 years ago.
He gave you Earthbound?
And
gave him
Metal Warriors.
And Metal Warriors,
I've seen Earthbound a bunch. I've almost never seen
Metal Warriors.
My Metal Warriors still has the Blockbuster sticker on it because that's where I bought it from.
Yeah.
Because we rented it so much that at some point they were like, "Hey, we're getting. Do you want to just? Do you literally just want to take this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I love this game."
Yeah.
So
let's do some questions.
I got some questions from Instagram that we're gonna throw your way. This comes from Vinyl Reckoning.
Vinyl Reckoning.
Now, Vinyl Reckoning says, "My personal dream is to open a record store." Who would have thought? Right? What type of store is Vinyl Reckoning gonna open? What was the scariest part of taking a leap to open your store, and what's been the most rewarding part?
The scariest leap is opening up the store and not having any customers. That is, I'm still afraid of that right now to this very day.
Yeah. Every single day, like every open day, just being like.
So
have you had a day with nobody?
So no, we fortunately yes,
really?
but we haven't had a day that didn't record a sale too. So thankfully, we've always actually had a sale.
That's actually
it's really impressive,
kind of unbelievable.
But that's still kind of looming in the back of my head that it can happen.
It can happen, and if it happens, it's normal.
It's fine.
It's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything really.
Yeah.
If it happens every single day for a year straight, then maybe the freeway shut down or something.
I could only see how demoralizing that could be not having customers.
What about rewarding though? Like, what is it walking in and just being like, "This is my store"?
That is awesome.
It's a big deal. Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, just stepping in is really fun and rewarding to see the progress of how it's grown. What I was thinking about the other day is just the customer and client base that's been reoccurring and coming back, and they love it and they praise it, and it just shows me like, wow, we kind of created something that people are enjoying.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Jack Burton Pork Chop Express.
Yes.
We know who that is.
Do we?
Yeah, we do.
I have an idea who that is.
Okay. How do you come up with your trade-in values? I think that's something that's misunderstood by a lot of people.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm still figuring that out myself.
Okay. Yeah. It's not an exact science then, huh?
Yeah. We at my store everything's formulated. There's a formula, so there's a system.
So you can plug something in and be like,
absolutely,
this is
yeah,
and essentially. You can't trade it in for more than it's worth because you'll lose money on it. So
right, and we gauge by just taking the industry standards offers.
Yeah. Okay.
So with other stores, and then also there's a lot of flexibility going on to it too as well. But there is a formula that we just plug and play based off the value of the current game.
Porch Man wants to know.
Hang on a second. I know for me when I buy stuff from other people, you've seen it here on the channel where I'll do 50 to 60% usually because I don't have store overhead.
Right.
But if it's something that's a Zelda, a Mario, most Marios, I'll pay even more because especially if it's a big amount. Retro Rick was talking about this. He paid I think like 60% or 65% the value of the game Snatcher on Sega CD.
Sega CD.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's one of the most desired games on the console.
It's Kojima's one of his first games.
That's it.
Right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But it sells complete in box for, I'm going to throw out a number. I think it's like $1,500.
About.
Yeah, $1,500.
No.
And so he paid like close to $1,000 for it. And it was Caleb, Phoenix Resale, was asking like, why would you pay more than the normal percentage for it? And he goes, well, because in one sale, if I make $500, that's better than buying 40 games that are worth $10 or whatever, and etc.
It's a bigger deal, but you don't do that for everything, and you don't do it for the small stuff. It is those cases.
So I would think like you have your formulas, but there are times when like you have to break the algorithm and go, hang on a second, like this is just something that I got to have in my store.
Right, and I could go on and on and on about the popularity of certain items and games that would sit there forever and take real estate. But and then we could also go on to just, you know, the whole process that we do at the store, which we charge the convenience of, right? So you've never been in the store, but our store is a little different. We like to value quality in our products, so we're not getting a lot of dusty games.
Yeah, you see, like his store. Sorry to cut you off, but
that's fine.
I'm just going to affirm this. I've been to a lot of game stores, and there's, you know, varying quality in each one. Everything in your store is super nice. Like, it's been cleaned up and it's ready to rock. Like, it's not like,
that's
and
good.
even if the
That's
label's
cool.
bad, the whole thing's been cleaned as best as it can be.
And it's packaged nicely, and it's resealed in a nice little baggie. It makes it look
Feels
new,
good.
like a real product.
Feels
right?
good.
It feels good. So there's a lot that goes behind the scene. Is part of the reason why the trade-in values aren't as sweet. But industry standard, the store credit is the better bang for your buck.
Sure.
It's almost twice as much as the cash offer.
Yeah.
Just some standard.
If you're planning on picking something up, or even you can anticipate later, why wouldn't you? Right. Porch Man wants to know who's your favorite customer, and who's your least favorite customer.
Oh my gosh, that's a loaded question right there.
Well, I mean,
Does it have to just be one?
Yeah, you can pick up.
Nah, you can,
Let's start with what, the least favorite?
yeah, sure. Who's your least favorite customer? His name is
Jack
Henry.
Burton's Pork Chocolate Express.
Yes, I might not want to answer that
kidding,
one.
Okay.
But let's start with favorite.
Who's your favorite?
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna start off with CJ and Lynn. Obviously, they're one of my early customers when I opened, and they became my 2-store employees.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so they work for Hidden Gem Videogames.
Well, now they're terrible customers.
Yeah.
But they're
CJ's
good
great.
employees.
I see him at the swap meet all the time.
Yeah.
He's such a good guy.
And that's the beauty of it, just all these relationships that I've grown over the year. But those two guys, customers, friends, and then now hardworking.
Right.
You were saying too,
staff
you
members.
pay your employees a base starting salary of $40 an hour, which I thought was amazing.
That's crazy.
So cool. Anyway,
Pays them in Sneak King.
Yeah.
Jake Taylor 5454 says, "What's the game you see the most come in
Oh,
through
good
trades?"
question.
Sneak King, no,
Sneak King,
it's not
no,
Sneak
you never
King.
see Sneak Kings.
You know, it should be Mario's because there's millions of those that come
And
in.
Pokemon's, too.
But it's probably
Pokemon.
not, right?
But now it's just being all hoarded because people know, hey,
Yep.
we need to hang on
Yeah.
to this kind
So
of
what's
stuff.
the stuff that people are like, I'll get rid of?
Sports titles for sure, and we try to limit sport titles. to
Sure,
kids.
I mean, you could be swimming in them.
Yeah, Maddens, NBAs, but retro stuff, for NES, gosh, a lot of Top Guns for the
Yeah.
NES.
okay.
That's a Friday
Perennial,
the 13th.
yeah.
It's
I
just
think all those games that we grew up with the most are the ones that come in the most. I would even think Contra comes in at least once a month.
Contra does not.
Really?
I wish it did come in once a month.
What about Blades of Steel?
Blades of Steel is pretty common too.
Yeah, that was-
What NES is the same common titles.
Yeah.
PS2, there's a lot of the same, like your
Yeah,
Grand
yeah.
Theft Autos and your
Yep.
San
Yeah,
Andreas.
yeah.
And
Things
your,
that sold like tens and tens of millions. You'll
Yeah,
get them in.
I think
Do those sell a lot? Does like GTA and PS2 sell?
they do, but slowly.
Yeah.
I think in my back stock room I have 10 copies of Batman Arkham Asylum.
Such a
Okay.
good game.
Ark-
but-
Arkham Asylum.
the first
Asylum,
one, or
the
Arkham
first one.
City?
all
You
of
know
them
what?
are
Let me
good.
get back to you. It's one of the two.
Because City, like, they sold a lot.
It
of
might
them.
be City.
Yeah.
I literally have a stack of.
Because Arkham Asylum came out and it was kind of like, wow, this is really good. We didn't think it would be.
Yeah.
Arkham City was like, oh, there's a big deal. I have an Arkham City shirt,
Ooh.
T-shirt that I got from the.
Hang on to it. Shirts are a big deal with retro.
So that might be my next need or not then, because I have a lot of shirts.
How old?
What do you mean?
Like, how far back do your shirts go?
Vintage.
Like, I mean,
Like single stitch, like Super
I don't
Nintendo.
know. I was just gonna
no,
say
no, no,
single
no,
stitch.
no. I've got shirts from like the 2010s on.
Still. All right.
What about this shirt? What do you think? Neat or not?
Promotional shirts. Nah,
Nah.
nah.
Dang, it's a single stitch though.
I don't know what that means.
Same here, but I'm just gonna roll with it.
Let's do a couple more questions from
Sure.
Instagram, and then we got to tell everyone about what Punky's doing.
Yeah.
here a little bit.
What's Chubbs Be Gaming?
Oh,
Chubbs be gaming.
Chubbs Be Gaming wants to know what's one game that you want to own sealed, and then he put a seal emoji.
Oh, that's easy. Nintendo's no, stadium events for the NES.
That's the sealed game.
That's
you
the
own?
sealed.
Is there
You'd wanna own that?
is
I
there a
wanna own that.
sealed is there a sealed version of that at all?
Yes.
There is.
There
There was a
has
very like short run. I don't know if there's any in.
There is a collector that was on the Atari Age forums who showed, I can't believe I know this, a photo of a box of sealed stadium events.
Yes.
And he's just holding on to them.
His name, his username, I forget, but he not just stadium events, but all other
He had
sorts
like a
of
bunch of
grails.
stuff.
Is this
yeah.
came from like a closed down store or something maybe? Like where they had like a
It's
stock
a
of
bizarre
them?
story, but it's a weird thing to have boxes of this stuff.
Yeah.
But also, like, why wouldn't you sell that now?
Right.
And
Yeah,
Live your
it's a calculation on like
but also, if you sold 10
this-
copies of stadium events that are sealed, the price of it would
Right.
Yeah.
lower
Right.
because there's more.
This is
supply.
the same
Right.
thing that happened to people who were like crazy into cryptocurrency, where they owned the majority of it,
Or Beanie
which
Babies.
would meant that if they were to try to sell it, they would devalue the own
Yeah.
amount that they had.
You take control of the value
Yeah.
with that much stock.
do.
You know.
Let me just do a couple more. This is from YouTube. Max Quaza asks, "Have you ever been scammed?"
Oh yeah. All the time.
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. I mean,
I brought in a Pokemon,
Right.
and Pikachu has an assault rifle.
well, I mean, there's levels to scumminess, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's out of the customer's knowledge. They're not even aware,
They got scammed, right?
They
And
got
they're trying to pass
scammed,
along a scam.
or they're just not knowledge, or they don't know about
Right.
reproduction
Yeah.
and bootleg games. But a lot of times, some games do come in where it's a fake Pokemon game
Sure.
or a fake N64 game, Sculptor's Cut, like that one right there. I think that
Oh.
one's a fake one, right? But I mean, that's out of their knowledge.
Real, right.
So they won't know. But I think people do know willingly take in consoles and games that do not work and try to trade it in for some credit or cash.
Yeah.
Now, is that considered being scammed?
Well, it's scammed if you,
Don't know.
if you took it from them and never tested
Never
it. But
tested
I'm assuming you guys tested it.
Yeah,
before.
well, we used to just blindly accept just for the
Okay,
sake of it,
sure.
for convenience. But now we do have to test because we've been getting a lot of broken
even,
stuff.
even broken consoles can be worth something, right? Because of parts and stuff like that. But as long as you built that, you didn't trade it as if it was
I
working.
mean, most of the times when I sell a broken console on eBay, it's in handheld and it goes for $20 to $30.
Right.
But like for full size consoles, I'll get a bunch of questions about what kind of a break is it and all of that, because some people won't even mess with it. Like I've sold broken PS2s for $5 and I've sold them for $30 too on eBay. Just never know.
There's levels of scams that are out there, and thankfully I have such wonderful customers that
Right.
they're not really there to kind of screw us over, more to preserve and have the company and the business keep going, right?
Nice.
So thankfully not. But yeah, I mean, we get we get stuff sold and returned immediately, and it kind of doesn't look like the same item that we sold them. So we have to kind of question, like, is this even the same
Yeah.
thing that you purchased yesterday or a few hours ago? So
I remember when stores used to put little non-removable stickers on the top
Right.
of the CD.
the seals.
And I hated that so much
Yeah,
because I was
yeah.
like, this is damaging the thing, but I also get it because yeah.
You know, I need to tell you this story.
Okay.
So there's thieves too,
Oh.
and a lot of it probably goes unnoticed. I don't really care. A lot of stuff that is stealable, I guess is the word. It's
Yeah.
the less value
Right.
stuff. We got the higher stuff locked up, but there are kids and teenagers who are a little bit on the naughty side. They come in and they just like to steal.
Yeah, they just want to see if they can get away with it.
They get away with it, and we've caught a couple of kids who've stolen Pokemon cards before, and it's heartbreaking,
Yeah,
but it's part of the business.
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
Yeah, there's no way around it.
This from YouTube, DC Fat Cat. This I think is a pretty good question,
One of my
and
favorites.
it'll lead into maybe even something. But what do we need to do for more local game stores to sponsor folks like Little League teams?
Oh.
It was the best way when I was a kid to keep me out of Funko Land, which I think is funny. But I think even more broader is like, what do we need to do to really support local game stores so that you can do things like a Little League team? I think baseball's dumb, so don't do Little League. But
I like baseball. I'm going to contradict
You're
Josh
gonna
on
say
that one.
But what do you hope people can do to? How can we support you more than just maybe coming in and spending lots
Right.
of money, right?
So I held a Smash tournament event recently. I'm not
Okay.
sure if you saw posts about that
I
about
did.
3 months ago, and it's from a community college, a local community college, OCC.
Okay.
And there's a gamer club there, so they frequent my store and they hang out and they buy stuff, and you don't always have to buy stuff when you come in, obviously, right?
Right.
But they come in, they hang out, and they wanted to host a Smash tournament there because they host Smash tournaments at the school.
Right.
So they're like, we want to help out your store. It'll, generate a lot of footwork or foot traffic,
right.
and, hopefully it'll generate some sales, and we could do this on a monthly, bi-monthly, or, every other month.
Yeah.
So something like that, I, was thinking about it. I finally did it, and it was a really good turnout. Very tiring,
Sure.
just hosting events like that, but it's all for a good cause for both parties. So just stuff like that, I think just...
It's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And then-
lending your physical space for people to
It's-
hold tournaments.
It sounds like if people want to support the store, there's something coming up, right?
there is. Punky, what's happening pretty soon?
Yeah, in 2 weeks is actually going to be the 1 year anniversary. at Hidden Gems Videogames.
Birthday
Thank
to
you. And that went by all too quickly, but
I can't believe that because I got that Zelda from you. 8 months ago? 9
yeah,
months ago?
just about maybe last
Pretty
October.
close right after you opened.
So we're gonna do a little bit of a small buy, sell, and trade event at the facility. It's gonna be indoor. Everything
Indoor.
Everything in the store is gonna be 15% off.
Oh.
It's gonna be also outdoor as well, where about 8 to 10 vendors will be setting up tables like this fine gentleman right here. Mort will be there, so come support the business, come hang out. I'm gonna have a taco guy, so free tacos.
I was gonna say how much are the tacos, but you just revealed that.
Free tacos.
Free tacos?
Free tacos, quesadilla, and hot
Anywhere for
dogs.
free tacos. And what's the date on that?
August 26th, Saturday.
Okay, Saturday the
At
26th.
what time?
Swing by if you have time.
I think I'm absolutely going to.
Yeah, for sure.
What-
We'll
what
love to have
time?
you.
What time are we thinking?
The time frame is going to be from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. But you can hang out as long as you want.
Awesome. I'm excited about this. This
Same.
will be great. Well, Punky, thank you for joining us
Yeah,
today
it was
and
awesome.
hanging out. This is awesome.
Yep.
If people want to find you on Instagram, it's at Hidden Gem Videogames. And also, anything else you want to plug or say before we end?
No, I just wanted to thank you for inviting me over to your awesome garage.
Thank you. Glad
It's
you're here.
amazing here, and being on the podcast and meeting Josh. This guy's amazing as well. I wanted to bring some gifts for you and the family and the
What?
girls.
No
so
way.
Is that okay?
Let's do it.
I just hope that it's not on your junk pile in a couple of days. Right? Or am I going to be able to
I
take
wouldn't
this
want
up?
to call that, first of all.
So this is
First
not
of
going
all,
to be
let me
need or not from
backtrack a little
him.
bit.
I'm kidding.
But
That's just
I'll,
me.
not
I'll
a-
need or not these.
it's not a junk pile. It's I want to be
It's a
honest about
garbage
it.
pile.
I've
It's
seen
a
people
trash
get lots
pile.
of
Fan
gifts,
mail pile.
and then I just want to honor it.
It's
So
a
It's all right.
sewage.
okay.
It's
I'm,
a
I'm-
sewage
I'm
pile.
being over ridiculous,
Yeah.
but yes.
Okay, so I do want to apologize to you for not being able to make the Astro City
Asteroid
viewing.
City.
Asteroid
yeah.
City viewing.
We hosted a private screening at a local movie theater, and Punky was going to go, but then he said he was too good for us.
That's not true, but I was not able to make it. But it sounded awesome.
Yeah.
But I did want to meet his daughters, and they came to my store. And unfortunately, I wasn't there that day, so I
No.
wanted to bring them a little bit of something for all three girls. So I made this little Kirby gift package for them. So I made that
my
for
Did
them.
you use your shrink wrap machine
I
on
did.
that? That's so cool.
It could use a little bit more work, but I think it turned out
Oh,
okay.
It looks like it's like.
So I think all
You know,
three
when
will
they were
enjoy
there, they
that.
bought this too from your store.
Oh,
They-
yeah,
they
yeah.
love these. This is incredible.
Yeah, so they're going back to school, right? Like you said?
Yeah.
So this is a little Kirby pen pouch. You put your pens and pencils in there.
This is ridiculous.
A little
dude.
plushie controller, Kirby controller, because they're playing games now.
Gosh.
And then a little mug for their morning coffee. But maybe
That's
that's
it.
more for you than
No. My kids love coffee in the morning. That's perfect. This is insane. Thank
That's
you so
great.
much.
No worries. You're
Oh,
welcome.
I told them that Punky was coming over, and that you mentioned that you might have something for them.
But there it is.
What was the box
This
from?
is so cool.
Oh, this thing is one of my display boxes that I
That's
sew
so
Kirby.
cool.
Yeah,
that
so
makes like
Oh
that
my
makes
gosh.
such a huge
if you have a
difference.
bowl, slap a bowl on top of it.
Yeah,
for me.
totally.
Okay, I will. I will.
Well, you don't have to, but it's okay.
No, I'm going to save this. Actually, put on my handheld
looks
stuff.
cool,
in it.
right?
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
Wow, thank
That's
you
what
so
I'm-
much.
Yeah, he just stole it from his kids. I'm not getting it.
And then this is for you. This
What?
is Avenging Spirit for the Game Boy. This is a remade game.
Calico.
Yeah, there you go. That's from Retrobit. They recreated Avenging Spirit. It's a really rare game.
Gosh.
But that's the box art that the Japan got. So they got more of a friendlier box art.
For a game called Avenging
Avenging
Spirit.
Is this brand new?
It is a brand new version of the re-release.
No, I
from
mean,
Retro
I'm
Bit.
seeing a seal. Like, is this the...
Yeah, there's a... Actually, you might have to... Yeah, it's a seal.
So this is a factory sealed version of this game.
Yes.
Punky!
That's incredible.
Put that on the
That's
shelf,
very
brother.
neat.
That's really cool, huh?
Oh my... This would never go. None of this would ever go. And like...
Is the fan mail?
Dude!
In the fan mail file.
This is insane.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think it has like so 2 different carts.
Ghastly Glow cartridge
And a
includes
little-
1 cartridge. Oh,
Oh, one of cartridge.
one of.
Oh.
Should we see what kind it is?
If you want to crack it open, let's do it.
This is for me to open and play, not to sit on the shelf. Do we have like a key or something?
Knifey?
Or you know what? I have all my
Knifey, spoony?
tools right there too. I just don't want to damage this at all.
No, we could do it now.
All right, let's do it now. Let's do it now. Here we go.
So I think there's 2 different carts, right? That's indicated in the back. There's
It's saying you get one of the 2. So
Oh,
one's a glow
so
in the dark.
it's a gotcha, right?
yeah.
So you might get the special one.
So you could get the standard gray cart, the gray
Let's unbox this baby.
traditional cart, or you get a cool glow in the dark green case.
What a cool set. Oh my gosh.
That's such a great looking box.
It's
I need.
cool.
Is there like a like a screwdriver or something that I can just like kind
I'm
of?
worried about trying to get into this.
Oh, here, give me the shelf bracket. That'll work.
That works.
Here we go.
little edge.
Okay, don't. Damn.
I have keys.
Oh no, we're good. We did it.
Oh, you just needed to get a little slice, huh?
So it came with a box protector too.
That's cool.
That's cool.
So Jalico made, I want to say it's a game. It's called like Gasoline Alley or something like that. No, City Connection.
Yes, City Connection.
City Connection. I remember I was playing City Connection on like an emulator, showing my wife just all these games, and she thought it was she's like, this is such a weird game.
It is.
But there's like a little cat that you will like sometimes if you hit, and the cat like just
react.
freezes,
I think
and
I
then it
remember
plays
that.
this goofy music and it flies away.
That's actually a very
Thought that
common
was
game
so
that
funny.
I get in the store too.
Really? City
We
Connection?
got-
Yeah.
Number 1,329 at 5,500, and we got the clear glow in the dark one.
Cool.
Oh.
Oh,
so
no.
it's
You
clear.
know what it's saying?
That's what it
Clear
looks
glow in
like
the
when it
dark,
glows.
But that's what it looks like when it's
Oh,
closed.
okay,
so
okay.
We ended
But
up getting
still
both.
unboxed it.
We got both. Then.
This is
You have
really
both depending on the
We
lighting
got both.
condition.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
wow.
so
Look
cool.
at that.
rad.
Let's see. Let's check this out.
Because most people who get these games, honestly, they keep
Look
them
at that.
sealed.
Right.
But how cool
That
is
is
this?
neat.
Wow, this manual and everything.
You see what
Punky,
they printed
you're
on the
insane,
board?
dude.
Hey,
No, it's
so
all good, man.
is that how the Japanese boxes were, where they were split like that? Or is that just for maybe this release?
It's just the re-release. Yeah,
Okay.
they made
That
it
is cool. Like the way that opens.
like a book, right?
Yeah, right.
It's like magnetized. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I
they would.
I thought
They
I
would have
ripped
never
this.
spent the money on mass producing boxes that neat.
And it's actually a really fun game too. If you ever played Avenging Spirit.
I never played it. I saw this when it came out, but
Mm.
I'm sorry, Josh. I didn't know you were gonna be here. Had I known, I would have been.
But
I would have gave you.
there's not anything that you can.
Josh
Just a
doesn't
bro
do
hug?
physical.
I'm not. Yeah, you can't buy me stuff.
Josh is a very tender, gentle person.
Unless it's Gundams.
Yeah.
Ooh.
He loves Gundams.
That's what I do
true.
love.
Noted.
Although I do have too many now,
Yeah.
so I probably shouldn't get any more.
Are you messing with like the models and everything
Oh,
too?
yeah.
Oh, everything.
Yeah, but I don't have enough space to display them, so right now I'm on building hiatus because there's no room.
There's no room.
Yeah,
Wow, this is great. Well, Punky, thank you for coming to the garage.
Yeah.
It's
You're
great to
welcome.
see
it
you,
was great
man.
to have you.
And thank you all for watching our very wonderful episode. Here's a couple of things to look forward to in the future. I'm going to spoil this. I think we can. We're going to be at a certain Nintendo Power collector's house who is the art of Nintendo Power. That's right, Stephen Reese. We're going to be podcasting with him. And then also, I've just confirmed that a certain gentleman who works for a certain company that made a certain game called Destiny, and he has a pretty visible higher up role, I'm gonna say. And if he's cringing right now, I apologize. But we're gonna have him on the podcast to talk about working in the games industry, and he's gonna talk a little bit about one of the games that they're working on right now, and give us some more info, which I'm very excited about. So if you are into gaming, new or old, or just pop culture in general, make sure you're here on the Mort's Garage podcast, the Garage Cast. Make sure to check out the channel. And then also look at the affiliate links if you are shipping things. I've got a link for you, and also the massager. This thing is really cool.
I need to try that,
dude. I got it right here, and it's in fact. We'll do that another time.
Do it later.
But
we'll bust it out.
It's really cool.
We'll turn on the lights and
Yeah.
But thank you all for being here, and if you're listening in your car or watching on YouTube, have a lovely rest of your week.
Good night.
Thanks for hanging out.